70% of dreams die because people quit too soon. I remember the first time I read Napoleon Hill's words, "A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits." At first, I dismissed it like any other quote I'd seen on the pages of a cheap self-help book. But life has its cruel way of forcing you to revisit truths you once ignored. When Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, he didn't promise wealth to the lazy or overnight success to the dreamers who won't sweat for it. He gave the world something far more uncomfortable, a mirror to our own weakness. And that weakness is this: most people quit too soon. If you study 1,000 people who dared to dream, you'll find that 700 of them gave up when it got too hard, when the money didn't come fast enough, when the applause turned to silence. That's 70% gone, vanished, dreams buried in shallow graves. I was almost among them. When I first set out to build my own business, I felt unstoppable. The first few weeks were electric. I was high on possibility. Then reality struck. The work was hard, the hours were long, the money was invisible. I remember sitting alone in a rented room with a cracked ceiling, my bank account bleeding dry, wondering if Napoleon Hill was wrong. Maybe I just didn't have what it takes. But then I realized the only thing separating me from the people who made it was how long I could stand in the fire without running for the door. Hill calls it persistence. He says, persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel. Without it, you're soft metal, easily bent, easily broken. Why do people quit so soon? Because quitting is disguised as being realistic. Because friends whisper that your plan will never work. Because family asks when you'll get a real job. Because your brain is wired to protect you from pain, and nothing hurts like failing in public. But here's the twist. Failing in public is the very furnace that forges the few who succeed. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years interviewing 500 of the richest people of his time. Carnegie, Rockefeller, Edison, Ford. You think they didn't feel like quitting? Henry Ford failed and went bankrupt 5 times before he found the formula that would change the world. Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." These men didn't have more talent than you. They simply stayed longer in the fire. There's a reason 70% give up. 1. They mistake discomfort for a sign to stop. Your dream doesn't die when you're uncomfortable. It dies when you believe that discomfort is your enemy instead of your teacher. 2. They measure success too soon. If you plant a seed today, you don't dig it up tomorrow to see if it's sprouting. Yet people do this with their goals every day, abandoning the plan because it didn't pay in 30 days. 3. They listen to quitters. You become like the voices you keep close. If your circle is full of people who've already surrendered to an average life, you will too. I want you to ask yourself tonight, what dream did you bury just because it got too hard? I bet you can feel it even now, breathing beneath the dirt, waiting for you to dig it up. Napoleon Hill believed that once an idea takes hold of you, it never dies. It waits for you to grow strong enough to carry it. I didn't become wealthy overnight. In fact, wealth was a side effect. What I really built was an unbreakable spine. The same spine you have inside you, if you choose to stiffen it with persistence. So here's Hill's secret formula for defeating the 70% statistic. Have a definite goal. Vague dreams create vague results. Write it down. Commit it to paper. Read it every day. Surround yourself with people who believe in the impossible. Decide now that quitting is never an option. You can stumble, you can pivot, you can crawl if you have to, but you do not quit. Remember this, the road to your dream is never crowded past the point where most people give up. If you want less competition, stay in the game. Outlast the quitters. The 70% quit too soon. Be the stubborn 30% who make history. Chapter 2, 30%. Who persist, win everything. If you're still here, reading this, congratulations. You're already different. You're the minority, the stubborn, the unreasonable, the ones the world secretly fears and quietly envies. Napoleon Hill calls people like you the 30%, the ones who know that success is less about luck and more about refusing to stop. What makes this 30% so different? 1. They see setbacks as signals, not stop signs. While the majority see a locked door and walk away, the 30% pick the lock, break the window, or build a new door. Hill wrote, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. They find the seed no matter how deep it's buried." 2. They understand the power of mastermind. Hill's most underrated principle is the mastermind alliance. He says, "No mind is complete by itself. It needs contact and association with other minds to grow and expand." The 30% are never alone in their struggle. They gather other fighters, thinkers, dreamers around them. One mind sharpens another. 3. They feed their mind daily. While the 70% binge cheap entertainment, the 30% devour books, ideas, and strategies. They don't watch other people's lives. They build their own. They know the mind, like a muscle, must be trained or it will atrophy. 4. They burn the boats. Spanish conqueror Cortés landed on the shores of Mexico and burned his ships so his men had no option but to win or die trying. The 30% burn the boats of Plan B. They do not try. They do not hope. They decide. When Hill spoke with Andrew Carnegie, the richest man of his time, Carnegie revealed that his success was never about genius or even timing. It was about persistence beyond reason. The same unreasonable faith you need now. I want you to look at your own reflection tonight and ask, am I living like the 30% or hiding with the 70%? Be honest. Your answer decides your future. If your dream is worth it, it's worth your discomfort, your late nights, your silent seasons, and your failures. Stay in the fight when everyone else drops their sword. Cling to your goal when everyone calls you crazy. Persist when your bank balance laughs at you. And when you win, and you will, no one will remember the nights you almost gave up. They will only see what you built. Napoleon Hill gave the world a timeless truth. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But he never said, if you feel like it. He never said, when it's easy. He said, whatever the mind can believe. And belief is a decision you remake every day, especially when reality tries to break it. So stand up, dig up your abandoned dream, dust it off, you're part of the 30% now, act like it. The hidden power of desire. When I first read the opening lines of Think and Grow Rich, one word burned itself into my mind like a branding iron. Desire. Hill didn't call it wish or hope. He didn't say would be nice to have. He used the word desire. Burning, consuming, almost unreasonable hunger for something more. And yet most people misunderstand it. They think they want to be rich, free, or powerful. But their so-called desire is as soft as a breeze. It fades at the first sign of resistance. I know this because once, my own desire was weak. I was the dreamer who never moved beyond dreaming. I'd make excuses. Now is not the right time. I'm not ready. I'll start when I have more money, more knowledge, more support. But here's what Hill taught me. Desire does not wait for perfect conditions. It creates conditions. A real burning desire refuses to die. If you bury it under fear, it will claw its way back through the cracks in your excuses. If you try to kill it with practical advice from people who never dared, it will haunt you in your sleep. Desire is the seed from which all riches grow. Not just money, but freedom, power, influence, legacy. But a seed does nothing until it's planted, watered, and fed with action. Hill writes, "The starting point of all achievement is desire." Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat. Read that again. A weak desire equals weak results. So ask yourself right now, how strong is your fire? Would you crawl through broken glass to get what you say you want? Would you stand alone if everyone laughed? Would you burn the bridge behind you so you have no choice but to fight forward? Most people won't. That's why most people stay where they are. There's a famous story Hill shares. The story of Edwin C. Barnes, a man who decided he would work with Thomas Edison. Not for Edison, with Edison. A partnership, not just a job. Barnes was broke. No money, no connections, no letters of recommendation. Just an idea so clear in his mind that he could see it, touch it, taste it. His burning desire was so vivid, it dragged him onto a freight train, dirty and desperate, all the way to Edison's doorstep. Most people would have turned back at the first locked door, but Barnes had burned his boats. There was no plan B. When Edison saw him, he didn't see a beggar. He saw a spark in Barnes's eyes, the spark of a man who would not be denied. Years passed. Barnes didn't start as Edison's partner. He swept floors, he ran errands. He worked as a nobody while others mocked him. But he stayed so close to his goal that when the opportunity came, a new invention called the Ediphone, Barnes was there to sell it. He made Edison millions. He made himself a fortune. The moral is not about luck or timing. It's about desire. Barnes wanted that partnership more than he wanted comfort, safety, or approval. That's what made him unstoppable. Hill says there is a formula to transform desire into wealth. 1. Fix your mind on the exact amount you want. 2. Determine exactly what you will give in return. 3. Set a definite date. 4. Create a clear plan and start immediately, whether you feel ready or not. 5. Write it down. Read it aloud twice daily. 6. Believe it is already yours. See it, feel it, live in it before it exists. These steps sound simple. So simple that 99% ignore them. They think they're too smart for such old-fashioned advice. But while they scoff, those who obey these steps silently reshape their lives. When I first did this, it felt foolish. I wrote a number on a scrap of paper. I read it in the morning, my eyes still sticky with sleep. I read it at night when the world was dark and my fears were loud. Nothing happened, at first, but something changed inside me. My mind locked onto the goal like a guided missile. I noticed things I had never seen before, people who could help me, ideas that felt inspired, sudden opportunities where doors were once closed. It wasn't magic. It was desire doing its ancient, silent work. Most people won't even write their dreams down. They say, "I have it in my head." But your head is a noisy place. It forgets. It doubts. It wanders. Paper does not. Paper holds you accountable. Desire is not just about money. It is the fuel behind every invention, every empire, every revolution, every work of art that outlives its maker. So how do you strengthen your desire? 1. Guard it from thieves. Negativity, doubt, and average people will pickpocket your dreams. Protect them. 2. Feed it daily. Read, listen, visualize. Surround yourself with reminders of your goal. 3. Act. Desire without action is hallucination. Every day, do something, even one small step, to prove you mean what you say. 4. Stay stubborn. You will be tempted to settle for less. Don't. Hill wrote, "There is a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it." If you feel your desire fading, remember this. You are not here to live a life of quiet frustration, whispering, "I wish." You are here to decide, to declare, to do. Barnes didn't ask for permission to dream big. He didn't beg for validation. He chose what he wanted and staked his life on it. So can you. When Hill says, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve," he means it. But he left us a hidden truth in those words. Conceive. Imagine it. Believe. Hold it as your unshakable truth. Achieve. Act until it surrenders to you. Desire is the spark that lights this fire. So tonight, light yours again. Write your goal. Speak it aloud. Taste it in your mouth. See it when you close your eyes. Feel the weight of it in your bones. The only thing between you and the life you crave is the strength of your desire and your courage to follow it when the path gets dark. Keep the fire burning. Keep moving forward. You are closer than you think.